It's a beautiful place to live, and I think we have the greatest people in the nation living right here in this state. You know, I'm going to start off with really thanking some people behind the scenes. I usually do this at conferences too because, you know, we tend to look past a lot of those things going on behind there. And so why don't we recognize, I hope you enjoyed me, recognize, is the chef back there in the corner? Mike, is that you? Let's thank the chef and all the staff here for the wonderful job that they did. Thank you for a wonderful breakfast, for a wonderful lunch, and for all the work that you do for us. And now, more in line with what this panel is about, I'd like and hope that you would join me in thanking behind the scenes, and that's the producers, the farm families, the hard workers working on the farms that really, truly provided the wonderful meals that we had here today. So thank you, farmers and ranchers and employees around the station. Well, as Ken said, I'm from the East Slope, so please don't throw any rocks at me. I'm here to build bridges, not pipelines, so I hope you appreciate that. But really, what I found really beneficial as I've had the opportunity to listen on the roundtable discussions and travel the state is learning about the different challenges that each of our basins have. And so I'm here as a farmer, just trying to farm downstream of 3 million people, some of the challenges we're facing. And I feel like really a picture's worth 1,000 words. So what you're going to see here on the screen is drone footage that I took of one of our pieces of property. This area, this field that we farm here is about 677 farmable acres. About 620 of it is irrigated by 6 pivots. And Simon was over there right away calculating, that doesn't sound right. But that's because none of these pivots can go in a full circle. Because of the growth in our area and the way the land was laid originally, as the footage goes on, you're going to see how these are like windshield wiper pivots. But in order to gain water conservation efforts and really gains in efficiency, we've tried to cover as much ground as we can. The video is now going to stop, and the city of Brighton, which is in the background, was where I was born. At that time, there was 6,000. The population of the city of Brighton was about 6,000 people. Today, they brag that it's 41,000 and growing fast. You see the irrigation or not the irrigation, but the ponds in the background. Those are actually gravel pits that have been mined to build the cities. Then they line those pits and use it for water storage. But all of those gravel pits, storages that you see in the background are owned by the municipalities now. This video footage was taken about 2 years ago, and even the greenish brown area that you see in the background is now currently being mined for gravel to continue that urban growth that's going on. You know, in our area, the value of the water is actually more than the value of the land right now. The water is actually more valuable. Mutual ditch companies like the ditch that you see running down the center of this picture here is one of the ones that we get our water from the South Platte River. This ditch, and I think all but one of the ditch systems that we pull water from is actually majority owned now by municipalities. And what I'm really fearful of is I don't want to be the last farmer on that ditch. You know, as they begin to change those water rights and pull them off of that ditch, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't even know if I'll have water at that time period. So that's a real concern for me. Whoops. The back part of that picture, in the back part of that picture, another challenge that we're facing in the background, you see a brownish area in the background. We were talking about out-of-state investors. We face that same challenge, but this picture in the background, they had bought this land about 10 to 15 years ago, out-of-state investors, but strictly for building houses. But they haven't managed that property since that time, and we struggle with them, you know, controlling the weeds, and the weeds grow up and the seeds all of a sudden blow onto our fields, and then we have a harder time with weed control in our fields. You know, things like cost of production for us in this urban environment is higher. Our liability insurance is really high, you know, compared to rural parts of the country. I think our zip code is one of the highest for automobile insurance. Housing is extremely expensive. Just the cost of doing business in those areas is really high. Well, but I know we're not alone. I think throughout the state of Colorado, I said I'm focusing on Colorado, we're all facing the issues of population growth and the changing climate that we're seeing. The bottom left-hand picture is actually a picture I took. I flew out of Denver one night, and I was shocked that I could actually see kind of the curvature of the earth. I thought it was pretty cool. But what really flabbergasted me was the lights, the city lights just going off into the horizon as far as I could see. On the right-hand side is a presentation from Russ Schumacher, who's the state climatologist, talking about how the increasing temperature trends and also the change in precipitation patterns is really causing us to have droughts more often. So is it really drought that we should be talking about, or aridification of the areas that we're in? And leading to, this is a picture of one of our cornfields one year. And our farm, we used to do all strictly vegetables, but because of some of this change, we've moved away from vegetables now. It always used to make me mad when on the news you'd hear a story about corn prices or something, but they showed an ear of corn in the grocery store. It's a totally different crop. Come on, guys, And I would have to explain to people that when a vegetable crop, I can't sell a ear of corn that's 4 inches, short and dented and everything. It has to be the full 6 inches or more. The husk has to be green. I can't deficit irrigate that crop. And so because of these changing patterns, we've switched away from vegetable production. Well, the picture on the left is actually, there was a lot of people like Russell George before us, are really insightful people. He started the Basin Roundtable process. How many of you participate in any of the Basin Roundtables? Raise your hand, Steve. Great. Great, Ken. Thank you so much for your time. It's really important for people in the communities to be involved in those discussions. And if you're not, I would really encourage you to go. You guys have a great website for this basin with a lot of valuable information that I think is really valuable. If the picture on the right is actually the pictures of the different basins, I won't go into this too much to say this. There's several differences, like there's a combination of basins here, and up in the northwest there's also a couple of river basins formed into one basin roundtable. But the one that I want to point out to you that's important is the metro area has its own basin. It's not included per se with the South Bat. It's its own basin. And when I had the opportunity to join a basin, I intentionally picked the metro basin. Partly because I felt like I was a farmer and I had a target on my back for my water, so I wanted to know what they were doing. But it was really educational for me to be a part of that, to have an understanding of them as businesses, of them saying, well, we are investing in this infrastructure to supply water to our residents. We need the income that people are paying for that water in order to support that system. So it was really educational for me, and I think it created some opportunities for me to build partnerships with some of those cities as we move forward. Another interesting fun fact is that Republican River, which is out in eastern Colorado, it's the only river basin in the state that doesn't have a mountain range with snow feeding it. Can you imagine that, a river with no mountains for snow? And they are particularly facing some tough challenges. And with a resolution that was made with Kansas, according to the compact, they have to dry up 15,000 acres of irrigated farmland. Twice, I think, Simon, what you guys are farming, right? So they have to dry up 15,000 acres by the year 2029. So some big, big challenges. Well, I went to a conference, another meeting. I thought this was a great acronym to use, as HELP. First, humanize the issue. We're all people. Let's have an understanding, express what our concerns are, and really ask questions that have an understanding. E is empathize. Really listen and try to understand what the person is saying and ask questions. L is lead locally. I think we've heard that today, how important locally led solutions are. And P is to participate. Really designate some time. I know we're all busy, but designate some time to participate in these issues and really invite others to join in. So I've learned so much today. Really looking forward to this afternoon and for our discussion later. I'll leave you with 3 quotes that are my favorite. So thanks, Ken. Thanks very much.